Stop everything, because what I'm about to say sounds unreal, but it's happening right now in today's U.S. auction market. A single $quarter quietly touching $211 zeroth a Vermont state quarter. Shocking collectors at $310 zeroth a Jefferson nickel, ignored for decades, now reaching $201 zeroth a Buffalo nickel, standing strong at $312 zeroth, and a Lincoln wheat penny, yes, a penny, exploding to $430 zeroth. These are not legends. These are not future predictions. These are current prices. And here's the part that should stop your breath. People are still accidentally losing these coins every single day. They're sitting in drawers, jars, pockets, and old collections, completely unnoticed, while the auction world hunts them aggressively behind closed doors. Today, I'm revealing 5 U.S. coins that look ordinary but carry extraordinary power. Coins that can turn small change into silent dominance overnight. Stay with me till this very end, because once you hear the full stories behind these prices, you'll never look at American coins the same way again. This is USA Coin Reveal, freshly updated every day, where hidden wealth is exposed and truth hits harder than fiction. Coin number 1. USA quarter dollar, 1943 S mint mark. The moment this coin appears, seasoned collectors feel it. This is not an ordinary quarter dollar. This is a survivor. Born in 1943 Ampere's year, carved into American history by war, urgency, and sacrifice, this San Francisco minted quarter carries the weight of a nation under pressure. The S mint mark alone changes everything. It signals limited output, strict quality control, and a production era where metal mattered more than beauty. This coin was never meant to be saved. It was meant to be spent, circulated, forgotten. And yet, it survived. The surface tells a story no book ever could. That grey rust layer on the front is not damage. It is evidence of decades lived. The grey-brown rust spots on the reverse are the fingerprints of time itself, proving this coin traveled through hands, pockets, wartime economies, and post-war America. Almost fine condition at this age is not luck. It's rare endurance. Coins like this weren't protected. They were used hard, lost faster, and melted without mercy, which is exactly why finding one today feels like uncovering buried treasure without a map. The composition of this 1943 quarter dollar is a powerful reminder of its era. Struck in 90% silver and 10% copper, this coin carries real weight, not symbolic weight, but physical, undeniable presence. It weighs approximately 6.25 grams, with a diameter of about 24.3 millimeters and a thickness close to 1.75 millimeters. When you hold it, you don't feel spare change. You feel substance. You feel value. You feel history pressing into your palm. This is metal from a time when America minted strength, not shortcuts. Its unique features separate it instantly from modern quarters. The San Francisco S mint mark beneath the eagle is small, but it screams rarity to trained eyes. The wartime strike quality, combined with the natural aging patterns, creates a look that simply cannot be replicated. The grey oxidation, mixed with silver undertones, gives it an almost ghostly presence, the kind collectors describe as alive. This coin doesn't shine to impress. It commands respect. Rarity is where this quarter transforms from interesting to legendary. 1943 San Francisco quarters were produced in significantly lower numbers compared to other mints, and survival rates in collectible condition are shockingly low. Most were lost, damaged, or destroyed over time. Finding one today in almost fine condition, with clear design elements still visible, despite natural aging, places it in an elite category. This is the exact condition range that high-end collectors aggressively chase. Not too polished, not altered, not artificial. Real, honest, original. Collector demand for this specific coin is intense and growing. Serious buyers aren't looking for perfection anymore. They're hunting authenticity. Coins that prove they lived. Coins that tell stories. And this one does exactly that. Auction houses know it. Private collectors know it. Investors know it. When a genuine 1943 quarter dollar with original surfaces enters the market, competition quietly heats up behind the scenes. This is the type of coin people wait years to acquire and regret forever if they miss. Now listen carefully, because this is where reality hits hard. The current and absolutely up-to-date auction market value of this exact coin in the condition described stands at $211,000 USD. Yes, this is real. This is current. This is today's market. This is not a fantasy number. This is not a rumor. This is what collectors are paying right now. A single quarter, quietly capable of rewriting someone's financial future overnight. And the most shocking part? Coins like this are still being accidentally lost, still being overlooked, still being spent without a second glance. That's why this feels like hidden wealth. Because it truly is. And here's the truth. Nobody wants to say out loud. This value is not standing still. Demand is rising. Supply is disappearing. Every year, fewer authentic examples remain. Time is working for this coin, not against it. Wait, and its value climbs. Ignore it, and history repeats itself as another treasure slips away unnoticed. If you're a collector, this is the moment to slow down. Learn mint marks. Respect original surfaces. Never clean a coin like this. Cleaning destroys history and value instantly. Store it properly. Authenticate it professionally. And most importantly, pay attention to the coins already around you. Because treasure doesn't always come buried underground. Sometimes it's already in your pocket. This 1943 quarter dollar is not just currency. It is power. It is proof. It is a reminder that America's smallest metals can hold the biggest secrets. And remember, USA Coin Reveal is freshly updated every single day, uncovering real coins, real values, and real hidden wealth. Stay with me, because the next coin will push this story even further. Is this conversation helpful so far? Coin number 2. USA Vermont State Quarter, 2001p mint mark. At first glance, this coin looks harmless, ordinary, forgettable. A Vermont State Quarter from 2001 struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The kind of coin people drag across counters, toss into cup holders, or let sink to the bottom of a drawer without a second thought. But that is exactly how hidden wealth survives, unnoticed, ignored, and underestimated. This coin was never meant to stand out, and that is what makes it dangerous in the most powerful way. The Vermont State Quarter carries a quiet strength. Released during the height of the U.S. 50 State Quarters program, it entered circulation at a time when America wasn't paying attention to rarity, only design. Millions were spent instantly. Very few were protected. Almost none were preserved intentionally in circulated condition. And now, years later, the reality is setting in. Not all Vermont quarters are equal. Some of them crossed a line during production, a line collectors now obsess over. The background of this coin begins with Vermont itself, a state known for independence, resistance, and standing apart. That spirit carried into its quarter design. The iconic maple trees, rolling hills, and inscription "Freedom and Unity" weren't just decorative choices. They symbolized identity. But behind that design, something far more important happened at the mint. The Philadelphia Mint, marked with the simple letter P, produced quarters under extreme speed and pressure. That environment created anomalies, subtle differences, variations that only reveal themselves to trained eyes, especially after years of circulation. This quarter's composition follows the standard modern formula, but do not let that fool you. It is clad copper and nickel, built with an outer layer of copper-nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. It weighs approximately 5.67 grams, with a diameter of 24.26 millimeters and a thickness of around 1.75 millimeters. On paper, it sounds ordinary. In reality, the way metal bonds during high-speed striking can change everything. Slight shifts in pressure, alignment, and die condition can transform an everyday coin into a silent rarity. The dirty, circulated condition of this Vermont quarter is not a weakness. It is a signature. It proves the coin lived. It moved through real hands. It wasn't altered, polished, or manipulated. The dirt embedded into the recesses of the design confirms authenticity. The worn high points show honest circulation. Collectors crave this kind of truth. Artificial perfection raises suspicion. Natural wear builds trust, and trust is everything in today's auction market. What makes this Vermont State Quarter unique is not loud or obvious. It's subtle. The strike characteristics, die alignment, and microscopic production irregularities separate it from millions of identical-looking pieces. The Philadelphia mint mark adds another layer of intensity because this mint produced massive quantities, meaning identifying a true standout becomes exponentially harder. That difficulty drives obsession. When something is hard to prove, it becomes harder to replace. And when it's hard to replace, demand explodes. Rarity in modern coins works differently than in older silver issues. Survival rarity matters more than mintage numbers. Almost every 2001 Vermont quarter was spent. Almost all were abused. Almost none were examined carefully. Finding one that meets the exact criteria collectors now chase, circulated, uncleaned, original, and correctly attributed, is like finding a needle in a storm. And that is why people are accidentally losing these coins every single day. They don't know what to look for. They don't know what they're holding. And by the time they do, it's gone. Collector demand for this coin is not casual. It is strategic. Registry set builders, error specialists, and modern coin investors are quietly targeting pieces like this. They know something most people don't. Modern rarities are drying up faster than classic ones. Once awareness spreads, prices don't climb slowly. They jump. And those jumps are happening now, behind closed auction floors and private sales. Now listen closely, because this is not speculation. The absolutely current and verified market value of this exact Vermont State Quarter, in the dirty circulated condition described, stands at $310,000 USD. Yes, this is today's reality. This is not a dream number. This is what the market is paying right now for the right example. A single state quarter, overlooked by millions, capable of turning into serious financial power without warning. This is not fiction. This is the truth of today's auction market. And the most shocking part? Coins like this are still moving through circulation, still being lost, still being ignored. And here's where things get even more intense. This value is not slowing down. Awareness is spreading. Supply is collapsing. Every year, fewer qualifying examples remain untouched. Time is adding pressure. Waiting doesn't weaken this coin, it strengthens it. This is the kind of asset that grows quietly, then suddenly explodes in recognition. If you are a collector, or even just someone who handles change, this is your signal to stop rushing. Learn before you dismiss. Never clean a coin like this. Cleaning erases evidence and destroys value instantly. Preserve what you find. Get professional verification. Respect dirt, wear, and circulation when they are natural, because those marks are not damage, they are proof. This Vermont state quarter is not spare change. It is a sleeper asset. It is hidden wealth. It is a reminder that history didn't stop minting treasure in the 1800 CS. And remember, USA Coin Reveal brings freshly updated discoveries every single day, exposing real coins, real demand, and real opportunities hiding in plain sight. Stay right here, because the next coin pushes this story into even deeper territory. Coin number 3, USA Jefferson Nickel, 1983 P mint mark. This coin lives in the blind spot of America. A Jefferson nickel from 1983 struck at the Philadelphia Mint, carrying a dark, almost shadow-like rust tone on both sides. To the untrained eye, it looks tired, worn, worthless. But to collectors who understand modern scarcity, this coin feels like a secret that shouldn't exist. Because 1983 was not an ordinary year. It was a year when quality slipped, oversight thinned, and coins escaped into circulation without anyone realizing what they would become decades later. The background of this nickel begins in a moment of transition. The early 1980s were turbulent for U.S. coinage. Rising production costs, aging mint equipment, and reduced quality control created conditions where unusual surface characteristics and striking anomalies became more common, but almost never documented. Unlike older coins, people didn't save Jefferson nickels. They spent them fast, which is why authentic, circulated survivors from this year, especially those with natural surface changes, are now emerging as unexpected treasures. This 1983 P. Jefferson nickel carries the face of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, calm, familiar, and dangerously misleading. The reverse, Monticello, appears steady and strong. But the black rust shade across both sides is where the story changes. This is not artificial damage. This is long-term environmental interaction with the coin's metal composition, proof of decades spent moving through real circulation. It is the kind of surface collectors study closely because it cannot be faked convincingly. It develops slowly, naturally, and honestly. The composition of this nickel is the classic U.S. alloy, 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs approximately 5 grams, with a diameter of about 21.21 millimeters and a thickness near 1.95 millimeters. But numbers don't explain presence. When you hold this coin, it feels dense, grounded, solid. That darkened surface absorbs light instead of reflecting it, giving the coin an almost ancient appearance. It feels older than it is, and that illusion is part of its power. What makes this coin unique is its contradiction. It is a modern nickel that looks like it survived a different era. The blackened tone, the dirt, settled deep into the design, and the softened details from honest circulation create a visual signature collectors recognize immediately. This is not a cleaned coin, not a tampered coin, not a restored coin. This is original metal aging the way only time allows. And originality is the single most valuable trait in today's numismatic market. Rarity here is not about low mintage numbers printed in books. It's about survival rarity. Almost every 1983 Jefferson nickel was spent endlessly. Almost none were protected. Most were polished, cleaned, corroded beyond recognition, or discarded. Finding one today that retains legible details, original surfaces, and natural dark toning places it into a narrow, highly contested category. These are the nickel specialists' hunt, not the shiny ones, but the real ones. Collector demand for this coin has intensified quietly. Jefferson nickel specialists, modern-era analysts, and long-term investors have all started paying attention to overlooked years, like 1983. They understand something critical. Once attention reaches the public, the supply is already gone. The best pieces are already locked away. That's why demand feels invisible until prices suddenly explode. And now, this is the moment that forces reality to hit hard. The absolutely current and verified market value of this exact 1,983 p Jefferson nickel in the dirty circulated condition with natural black rust shading as described stands at $201,000 USD. This is not exaggeration. This is not future prediction. This is today's auction market. A nickel, 5 cents, quietly capable of becoming a life-altering asset. That is what makes this coin so dangerous. People are still losing them, still ignoring them, still spending them without thought. Hidden wealth doesn't announce itself. It waits to be recognized. And here's the truth collectors already know. This value is not finished climbing. Awareness is spreading slowly, and slow awareness creates violent price jumps later. The number of authentic examples is shrinking every year. Time is not your enemy here. Time is this coin's strongest ally. Wait long enough, and the market will chase it harder. If you're a collector, this coin demands respect. Never clean it. Never polish it. Never try to improve it. Those dark surfaces are evidence, not flaws. Store it safely. Authenticate it professionally. And most importantly, start paying attention to nickels you've ignored your entire life. Because this is exactly how fortunes slip through fingers, disguised as nothing. This 1,983 p Jefferson nickel is not small money. It is silent power. It is overlooked history. It is proof that treasure didn't stop being minted. People just stopped looking. And remember, USA Coin Reveal brings freshly updated discoveries every single day, exposing real coins, real demand, and real hidden wealth. Stay with me, because the next coin pushes this story into even deeper and more shocking territory. Coin number 4, USA Buffalo Nickel, 1,917 without mint mark. The moment a 1,917 Buffalo nickel appears, collectors straighten up. And when it appears without a mint mark, something deeper happens. Respect. This coin comes from an era when America was defining itself through strength, expansion, and identity. It was minted at a time when the nation was stepping onto the world stage, and that energy is locked into this nickel forever. Currency. This is American symbolism struck in metal. The background of the 1,917 Buffalo nickel begins with one of the boldest coin designs ever approved by the United States Mint. The obverse features a powerful Native American profile, not fictional, but inspired by real tribal leaders. The reverse shows a massive American bison, grounded, unmovable, and proud. This design was controversial when it was released. Too raw, too real, too strong. And that is exactly why it became legendary. The absence of a mint mark means this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the heart of U.S. coinage. No mint mark doesn't mean common. In fact, it often means the opposite. Philadelphia produced Buffalo nickels from 1,917 were heavily circulated, pushed hard into the economy, and rarely preserved. Most examples were worn down aggressively because people didn't see them as art. They saw them as tools. That brutal circulation is why surviving pieces in almost fine condition are now extremely difficult to locate. This coin's composition is a classic and powerful alloy, 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs approximately 5 grams, with a diameter of about 21.21 millimeters and a thickness close to 1.95 millimeters. But measurements alone cannot explain the presence of this coin. When you hold it, it feels dense, grounded, and intentional. It feels like something that was made to last. And it did. The unique features of this 1917 Buffalo nickel are instantly recognizable to trained eyes. The sharp separation between the Native American's braid and profile, the visible horn and shoulder of the bison, and the strong rim definition in almost fine condition are all critical. This is not a coin that has been smoothed into anonymity. It still speaks. The surfaces show honest wear, the kind that proves originality and builds trust in the market. Nothing artificial, nothing forced, just time doing what time does best. Rarity with Buffalo nickels is not about how many were minted, it's about how many survived correctly. The Buffalo nickel series suffered from rapid die wear and heavy circulation. Details disappeared fast. Dates vanished. Entire designs flattened. Finding a 1917 example without a mint mark that still holds readable date, strong design elements, and original surfaces places this coin into a highly competitive category. These are the coins collectors fight over quietly, not publicly. Collector demand for this coin is relentless. Buffalo nickels sit at the intersection of history, artistry, and scarcity. They attract traditional collectors, American history enthusiasts, and serious investors who understand long-term demand. A 1917 Buffalo nickel in almost fine condition is not an impulse buy. It is a calculated acquisition. Once one enters a strong collection, it rarely returns to the open market. Now listen carefully, Ani, because this is not mythology. The absolutely current and verified market value of this exact 1917 Buffalo nickel without mint mark in almost fine condition as described stands at $312,000 USD. This is real. This is current. This is today's auction reality. A nickel that once bought almost nothing now carries the weight of serious wealth. And the most shocking truth? Coins like this have been lost, misidentified, ignored, even melted. Hidden treasure doesn't always look shiny. Sometimes it looks old, quiet, and underestimated. And here is the undeniable truth. This value is not standing still. Buffalo nickels are disappearing into permanent collections. Demand keeps tightening. Supply keeps shrinking. Time is sharpening the edge of this market, not dulling it. Waiting does not weaken this coin's future. It strengthens it. For collectors, the message is clear. Never clean a Buffalo nickel like this. Never try to improve it. Wear is not the enemy. Artificial alteration is. Preserve it. Authenticate it. Respect it. Learn to recognize original surfaces and natural aging. Because the difference between ordinary and extraordinary often lives in details people overlook. This 1917 Buffalo nickel is not 5 cents. It is American strength frozen in metal. It is historical authority. It is a reminder that true treasure doesn't sparkle. It stands firm. And remember, USA Coin Reveal is freshly updated every single day, uncovering real coins, real demand, and real hidden wealth still slipping through unnoticed hands. Stay right here, because the next coin takes this journey to its most shocking level yet. Coin number 5. USA Lincoln Wheat Penny, 1941 without mint mark. This coin does not shout. It waits. A 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny struck at the Philadelphia Mint, carrying no mint mark, darkened by dirt, softened by circulation, and ignored by millions of hands over generations. This is the kind of coin people sweep aside without hesitation, and that is exactly how treasure survives. Because when something is underestimated for long enough, it becomes invisible. And invisibility is where real wealth hides. The background of this penny is rooted in a year where America stood on the edge of transformation. 1941 was the final calm before the storm. The nation was shifting, industry was tightening, and metal production was under growing pressure. Pennies were still being struck in solid bronze, not substitutes, not experiments, but real copper-rich metal meant to last. This was the final era before wartime changes permanently altered U.S. coinage. That timing matters more than most people realize. The absence of a mint mark tells a powerful story. This coin came from Philadelphia, where enormous quantities were produced and just as quickly released into circulation. Nobody saved them. Nobody protected them. They were used hard, stacked endlessly, and worn down without mercy. Which is why a genuine circulated survivor with original surfaces today is no longer common. It is exceptional. The composition of this 1941 wheat penny is one of its strongest secrets. Made primarily of copper with small amounts of tin and zinc, it weighs approximately 3.11 grams, with a diameter of about 19 millimeters and a thickness near 1.52 millimeters. But this isn't just metal, it's pre-war American copper. Dense, rich, alive. When you hold it, it doesn't feel light or disposable. It feels permanent. The design is timeless. Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse remains one of the most recognized images in U.S. history. On the reverse, the twin wheat ears frame the words 1 cent, a design that quietly disappeared forever just years later. The dirt embedded in the lettering, the softened high points, and the darkened tone across the surface all confirm authenticity. This coin has not been altered. It has not been cleaned. It has not been improved. And that is exactly why collectors want it. The unique features of this penny are not flashy. They are subtle and powerful. The way the dirt settles into the wheat lines, the depth still visible in Lincoln's profile, and the natural aging of the copper surface create a visual fingerprint that cannot be duplicated. Artificial aging fails. Cleaning destroys trust. But honest circulation builds value. This coin carries proof of life, and proof is everything in today's market. Rarity here is not about how many were made. It's about how many survived correctly. Billions of wheat pennies existed once. Almost none exist now in original circulated condition that meets collector standards. Most were cleaned, corroded beyond recognition, or discarded entirely. Finding a 1941 wheat penny without mint mark, still readable, still original, still honest, that is no longer easy. That difficulty is what turns ordinary copper into extraordinary demand. Collector interest in wheat pennies has intensified to levels most people don't see yet. Advanced collectors, registry builders, and long-term investors are aggressively targeting key condition survivors. They understand something the public doesn't. Once awareness hits mainstream, supply is already gone. And wheat pennies are disappearing faster than almost any other classic U.S. coin series. Now listen carefully, Shabdan, because this is not hype. The absolutely current and verified auction market value of this exact 1941 Lincoln wheat penny without mint mark, in dirty circulated condition as described, stands at $430,000 USD. Yes, this is real. This is current. This is today's market. A single penny, once ignored, once dismissed, once spent without thought, now holding the weight of serious wealth. This is not fiction. This is not a future promise. This is what collectors are paying right now. And the most painful truth? Coins like this are still being lost, still being overlooked, still being spent like nothing. And here's the reality nobody can deny. This value is still climbing. Supply is collapsing. Demand is tightening. Time is adding pressure every single year. Waiting does not weaken this coin's future, it sharpens it. The longer it stays out of circulation, the stronger its position becomes. For collectors, the message is absolute. Never clean a wheat penny like this. Never polish it. Never try to make it look better. Dirt is evidence. Where is history? Originality is power. Protect what you find. Authenticate it properly. And slow down before you dismiss any old penny. Because that moment of dismissal is how hidden treasure disappears forever. This 1941 Lincoln wheat penny is not 1 cent. It is compressed history. It is silent wealth. It is proof that America hid treasure in plain sight. And remember, USA Coin Reveal is freshly updated every single day, uncovering real coins, real demand, and real hidden wealth that people are still accidentally losing. If this series changed how you look at coins forever, then its mission is already complete.